Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. It's so nice to see so many people again today. For those of you who are new to the events of the Martlet Society, I'll just give a 2-minute introduction. So the society was formed a couple of months ago. The goal of our society is to create this vibrant community for PhD and postdoc researchers where, it's a great platform for communication and exchange of experience to help bring out the full potential of, academics, whether you want to stay in academia or not. So we have 3 branches of events and talks in our society. We have the TMS talk, which is oriented towards the cutting edge research that some of our members are conducting. And it's a, interdisciplinary platform where you can hear about each other's research and communicate ideas. The second branch, which is the talk we have today, is the WBA or World Beyond Academia talks, where we invite speakers who left academia and are succeeding in different areas of whether it's industry or startups or consulting or banking, so that you can be informed of what are the possible career path for you outside of academia and how to get there. We also have the TMS workshops, which is a skill set oriented training session where experienced researchers share their experience, on very tactical things, but very useful things. For example, how to make figures for high quality academic publications. So these are the events we have now. And if you're interested, please subscribe to all these different channels and keep an eye on our future events. So now let me hand over to Elvis, who will introduce you the great lineup of speakers we have today.
Hi, thanks, Speaker, for the nice introduction for our society and our events. For today, we're honored to be having the opportunity to get 3 speakers working in quantitative trading, and the PhD graduates from Harvard University, University of Chicago, and Rice University, coming from totally different backgrounds. So some of them are in math department, some from statistics, and some even from material science engineering. And actually, one of the speakers, Ziliang, I have been knowing him for more than 15 years since middle school. He has been a rock star for all of the years. And I'm also pretty excited to know Xifan, who is a material science and engineering graduate, and I hope their experiences in sharing how they can shift their careers to find their kind of job would be very insightful for all of us. And for regarding the host, you already see Bihe, and I'm going to hand this over to Ed, who is an entrepreneur, who is also a PhD graduate from Cambridge University. So Ed, could you introduce the Q&A rules?
Hi, hello everyone, Yudi. I would like to remind everyone several housekeeping rules for the smooth running of today's session. First of all, can I please ask everyone to ensure yourself is on mute so that we don't have any background noise when our speakers are presenting. Secondly, everyone is welcome to ask questions. You can type your questions in the chat during the talk, but your questions will be asked during the Q&A sessions. There are 2 ways to ask your questions. Either you post your questions in the chat and one of our hosts will read it for you, or if you prefer to ask questions yourself, you can raise hand and we will call your name and you can unmute yourself and ask the questions directly. In general, for everyone to have a fair chance to ask their questions, we suggest for each person, no more than 2 questions should be asked. If you have further questions, you're welcome to connect with our speakers and perhaps arrange a separate conversation. So now, without further ado, let's start today's session. For our first speaker, Minzhe, if you could share your screen, that'd be great.
I think it's Ziliang.
Yeah. Oh, Ziliang is here. All right. All right.
Hello.
Yeah. Thank you. Hear you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending this event, and I feel very happy and honored to have the opportunity to share my experience with you. So first, a little bit about me. So many years ago, I went to Yinhe Middle School in Jiangsu Province, China. So why do I mention this? Because Elvis, who's one of the speakers, hosts today, also went to this school. So at that time, he was already a very hardworking and smart guy. So after middle school, Elvis and me didn't have the chance to go to the same high school. So we both left our hometown, and I went to high school affiliated to Nanjing Normal University in Nanjing. So I'll be very excited if somebody in the audience is also from this high school. You can let me know if you are. And after that, I went to Tsinghua University Department of Mathematical Sciences and got a bachelor degree. So after that, I went to Harvard University and studied in Department of Mathematics. So I worked on probability theory and stochastic processes. I worked with Professor Hongze Yao, who is a great mathematician. And my PhD work focused on random matrix theory. So it's a theory about high dimensional random data. So I'm going to spend the entire talk to explain to you what random matrix theory is. I'm just kidding. But still, I want to tell you something about random matrix theory because it's part of my story and I think it's very interesting. All right, so what I want to tell you is that at the center of random matrix theory, there is a very profound, beautiful, and simple theorem, which is called the semicircle law. So what it says in human language is that the histogram of the eigenvalues of a large symmetric random matrix is a semicircle. Well, this is not completely human language because most humans don't know what eigenvalue is, but I suppose most of the audience know what it is if you have attended college and taken linear algebra 101, which is very likely the case. So maybe a little bit more about what it means. So basically, you have a 1,000 by 1,000 table, then you put random numbers in it, then you get a matrix, then you calculate the eigenvalues. There is 1,000 of them in total. Then you draw a histogram of the eigenvalues. Then what you see will be a semicircle. So I also wrote a small demo in Python to illustrate this theorem. Okay, so here I import some libraries. And first, let me follow the steps I described. First, generate a random matrix, which is symmetric. So you see, I have a matrix here. And in the matrix, you see some random numbers that are completely chaotic, completely random. There is no pattern at all. Then you can calculate the eigenvalues of this matrix. So I have 1,000 eigenvalues. I sort them from smallest to largest. So there are too many, so I will hide them. And finally, let me draw a histogram of the numbers. So what you see is a semicircle. So it's not a perfect shape because you see some zigzags on the edge, but it's pretty close. The fact is that the larger the matrix is, for example, if you let this number be extremely large, like 1 million or 1 billion, in that case, my computer cannot work. But you'll see an almost perfect shape of semicircle. All right, so much about semicircle law. This theorem is not proved by me, unfortunately. It was proved many years ago. So what I did was related to this semicircle law. So it's a kind of generalization of this theorem. I think it's kind of profound, kind of beautiful, but not so simple in the sense that you need to know quite a lot of mathematical knowledge to understand the statement. So I'm not going to explain it today. Okay, so back to my story. So by the 3rd or 4th year of my PhD, I proved some theorems in random matrix theory and wrote some papers on them. So I was very happy to have done something like that. I felt that I had discovered some mathematical truth that was not known to human before. Well, it's not some big truth. It's nothing like Newton's law or Boltzmann equation. It's nothing like that. But still, I feel very happy to discover something new in mathematics. So then I have to think about my future. I have to decide what to do after graduation. I asked myself if I want to continue this path and devote myself to mathematics. Then I said to myself, maybe not, because I thought about my passion, my talent, and also the current situation of academia, which is very competitive. I thought I didn't have the enough motivation to continue academic career, and also on the other hand, I wanted to try something different because so far I had been working on something very theoretical that's very far from real life and has no direct application in the real world. So I wanted to try something more applicable and practical, because life is short. Sometimes you don't want to stay in one place forever and want to try something different, try a different life. So those are the two main reasons I transferred from school to industry. And why did I choose quant as a career? Because I think quant is, to a large extent, it's very close to what I have learned so far, because there are a lot of math going on. And so I chose quant as a career after my graduation. My work experience is that I first went to Morgan Stanley, first as intern, then full-time. And after a while, I went to Citadel Securities, which is the company I currently work for. So I'm sure you are interested about what I do here. Unfortunately, I cannot say anything too specific about my own my current company or what I'm doing at work. But later on, I'm going to share with you some generic tips and experience that could be helpful to you if you think, if you consider quant as a potential career for you. All right. So First, I want to make some notes about the difference between school versus industry. So first, at school, you very likely have flexible working time and place. Of course, this is not true for all the graduate students. For example, if you work in the lab, you probably need to go to the lab every day and operate on machines or computers and collect results. But for students who work on theoretical science like math or theoretical physics, you have a flexible working time and place because all you need is a device to read papers and probably a pencil and some paper to do some calculation. Meanwhile, in industry, you probably have regular working time and place because very likely from Monday to Friday, you are supposed to show up in the office in the morning and work for a couple of hours and go home. Of course, that's different in the pandemic, but still you need to show up either in the office or in the system, which is a daily routine. So it's hard to say which one is better, actually, because some people preferred a regular working schedule and place. But personally, for me, I prefer more flexible working time and space and place. So at school, as a graduate student, you likely have more freedom to choose what to do. For example, you can read some papers and have discussions with other people and find interesting problems to work on. Of course, it's again not true for all graduate students, but you still have more freedom than in an industry where your project is assigned to you and you have very little choice about what to do, especially for junior people in the industry. When you get senior, possibly you have more freedom to initiate a project based on your own ideas. But for junior people with only a few years experience, very likely you have no choice about what project to work on. So at school, your project is usually long-term. You don't expect to finish the project within 1 day or 1 week. So you can take your time to finish your project and work everything out and make every detail perfect. But in industry, very often project and problem is time sensitive. Sometimes you find yourself in the situation that you have to solve a problem by today or by tomorrow. And in extreme cases, you have to solve it overnight. If, for example, you have a meeting the next morning to discuss the problem. So finally, I think I don't have to explain too much on this. So in the industry, you are very likely financially better off than you are at school. So there are many differences between school and industry. So it's very important to know the difference and think about them and make a decision about whether that's the life you want. All right, so next I'm going to talk about skills needed to be a quant. So first of all, programming. This is actually quite essential because in finance, you need to deal with data. So very likely you need one of the mainstream languages like Python, C++, or R. Of course, some people say R is not a programming language, but it's very useful in data analysis. And sometimes shell script is very useful because, as far as I know, in most companies, people work, well, quants work from on a remote server. They need to operate on a Linux environment. And in that case, shell script is very useful to improve your work efficiency. So you don't have to know every single language, at least here, because at work you usually just need one language. So if you don't know any programming languages, I personally recommend Python because it's kind of it's widely accepted and well supported. So it has a large community. So you basically, if you have any kind of questions, you can always find the answer on the internet. And also in most companies, there are people who use Python, who support Python. So it's a very kind of universal language. And also it has a friendly learning curve. It's not like C++. You know, C++ has a quite steep learning curve. You need quite some time and work to get familiar with it. So of course, some companies have exotic programming languages, like some even have their own in-house programming languages. So you don't need to worry about that because this kind of company, this company is usually supposed to pick up the language after you join them. But it's always good to know at least the one programming languages because it's so much easier to learn a second programming language than learning the first one, because all programming languages essentially work in a similar way. All right, so next, quantitative modeling. I think this is also quite essential because that's basically what quant means. You need to do some quantitative, build some quantitative models based on data. All right, so what does that mean? So you need to know some statistics, for example, regression, because you know in finance, many models like the factor model or asset pricing model. All right, so about quantitative modeling, I think machine learning is not necessary, but it could be helpful because machine learning is getting more popular in the finance industry and it's getting more useful. All right, so next, do you need to know knowledge in finance? So I personally think it's helpful, but not a must because a lot of finance knowledge, you can pick up them during work. So usually the company will provide some training program and you can learn knowledge in finance through these programs. And also during your work, you'll get familiar with finance concepts and objects. All right, soft skills. By soft skills, I mean communication, like problem solving and learning ability. So I'm not going to explain too much on that because I think these are the skills that are needed for all kinds of professional jobs. All right, so next, how to prepare for a quant career, or more specifically, how to prepare for a job interview. So corresponding to the skills I mentioned in the last page. So first of all, it's good to know some programming, to have some programming experience. So it's good to know some basic knowledge about data structures and algorithms. And also, it's good to know at least the one mainstream language. If you don't know any, I recommend Python. And then you need to do some practice on website like LeetCode. So usually the expectation for your programming level for a quant is lower than that for a tech company. So for example, in LeetCode, so you usually need to be able to solve a problem at easy or medium level. Of course, this also depend on different companies. So for modeling, you need to learn some basic statistics. For example, you need to know linear regression and time series models. And it's good to know some probability theory. And of course, this is closely related to statistics. So I mentioned this in particular because in some job interviews for a quant position, they like to ask probability theory questions like flipping a coin or tossing a dice, something like that. So it's not some very advanced theory, just some basic kind of common sense in probability theory. All right, so it's also good to have some experience dealing with data. For example, you can do some project on Kaggle, especially if you don't have a lot of internship experience. It's good to have this kind of experience because during the interview, if you don't have internship experience, it's good to have some experience, to have projects to talk about, to let the interviewer know that you know how to build quantitative models. Okay, next, networking. This is also very important because a lot of interview opportunities come from employee referral. And also it's good to know some friends or some people who work in the industry and ask them about their tips or experience. That's good for your preparation. And also it's good to do some research on the internet because there are a lot of like interview questions online and you can practice them by yourself. All right, so maybe finally, I want to add two more points. Sorry. So if you ask me what I could have done better if I time travel back to my PhD, so I think basically I could have thought early and prepared early for the future after my graduation. So second question is because I transferred to another company after working in the first one. So you might be interested in like what's the difference between looking for a job with experience versus looking for jobs while you are still a student. So I think the biggest difference is that the interviewer will focus more on your work experience instead of some technical questions or what you learned from school. And another difference is that if you are already work for a company and you want to look for a new job, you have to do it secretly because of course you don't want your manager to know that you are looking for a new job. All right, so I guess that's all I want to talk about today. Thank you for listening, and my special thanks to Elvis, who invited me to this event, and two other hosts, Yudi, Biger, and everybody in the coordination group that helped with this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the talk. It's really useful, and I really like, as a consultant, I really like the minimalist style of your PowerPoint. I think it's simple, but also like easy to get people's attention. Because on the next speaker, Carlos.
Okay, I'm gonna start it. I'm not sure if you want Minzhe come first because she already joined. But I can go first, I think. All right. Everybody can see like my screen. I'll get muted myself. No. So I'm slightly different from like Ziliang's background. I'm coming from material science and engineering PhD. So I might give more like experience how I transfer the field from a material science to a special externalist to a quantitative analyst. So so basically, this thing happened on the fourth year of my PhD. Initially, when I started my PhD at Rice and joined the material science and nanoengineering department, I was thinking in future I'm to pursue a career in academy. Well, I also I think I did okay in sense of publication. Then, with the time goes on, then I realized the competition in the academy career is very competitive, and because I have a family, I need to take care of my family and those financial stress. I was considering to move to a other field. So initially, I would consider what I'm going to be in if I'm keep doing research in an academy. So basically, if I finish a PhD, I can be a postdoc for at least 2 years, and if everything works fine, I can be a assistant professor. If not, I may be able to. I needed to find another stop for the second term of the postdoc, and maybe just became a research scientist, and eventually became a research professor. And also, you can be a lecturer. As some of my friends, they decide to be a lecturer after a postdoc because they're not be able to find a tenured professor job. Then if you are doing okay and you have sufficient funds, and you can be a tenure the professor after all, maybe after 5-6 years of the evaluation of your assistant professor period, and you can be a tenure track professor. Oh, that's gonna be how I'm going to do if I will keep working a academy industry. Sorry, academy. And I was thinking about other possibility on that time. So if I go to industry, if I do anything, here is slightly something about my background. Even though my degree is in material science and engineering, but my advisor, Doug Nados, he's department chair of the physics department. And I've been spent most of the time was doing physics work. For instance, most of the work I've done is fabricate devices and do measurement and do some modeling in console and combine the result with modeling to see if they agree each other, if the model can expand the experiment results. which is pretty much the work I done in the past 6 years. And if I keep working this direction and move to industry, most likely I would end up being working in a semiconductor company such as some like Micron, Intel, or like Applied Materials, Lam Research. So, but since I've been spending most time in the lab and doing a lot of work in the clean room, I think I'm done with that. I don't want to keep working in a clean room. So the other possibilities could be some of my friends, they gotta go to like law firm to be consultants for the law firm and be more specifically to the case working related to the let's say the material science industry or the physics industry. And some of my friends, they go to moving to the manufacturing industry, like automobile industry, like Tesla or GM. Some of them, they go to GE. Also, because I'm in Houston, there's lots of students also choose the petroleum service as a career path. A very popular company here is like CGG, who is doing like data service for the oil companies such as Shell or Exxon or like Chevron. However, because of those whole like business is keep sinking since 2014, the energy sector is not doing well since then. Especially after COVID-19, this oil company get a huge losses in their revenue, and of course the oil service company, the upstream, not performing well. It's most company like Baker Hughes, Schellenberg or Halliburton, they are doing like they're laying off employees. So I consider that. I'm thinking, why I was thinking why not consider something else? At that moment, I was trying to see if I should do a computer science or like a finance work, like quantitative researcher. So there's no like there's some common ground for both paths. Of course, you gotta know some programming language first. So what I do is I take like several computer science courses as well as statistics courses at Rice University. Luckily, my advisor is a nice guy. He didn't say no, and he just said, if you want to take some courses, go ahead. If that's what if that could help for your like future, then I start taking like some programming language courses. The programming language I choose is Python, because first of all, it's very popular and it's very powerful, like for data science wise job. And on the computer science side, I took some courses like web design and some OOD courses, plus some machine learning type of classes, so testing machine learning, neural network, and deep learning courses. Also take some online courses from the university, get it like a nano degree from there. And on the statistic wise, I've reviewed the knowledge from the like linear algebra, like also take courses in time series, stochastic process, basically pick up everything I needed. And it took about like 1.5 years. I took like more or less 10 courses from the two different majors. And it's a time to decide should I looking for internship in a tech company or a finance firm. So after I have a discussion with my my friend who is a statistic professor, so he said, why not you just give a shot on both sides, and you can do some project on both sides and pick up the one you like. I did several projects to enhance or improve my resume because I'm from an experimentalist. It's unlikely I would get a internship in a tech company or in a finance firm directly without any project because it's hard to prove my work is relevant to their job. So what I've done is I did, as Ziliang mentioned, like Kaggle, I did several, actually 2 Kaggle competition, and I also did a commodity trading competition. It's hosted by the Chicago Civil. Basically, also another competition from the 2 Sigma is the Pilot, this AI competition game. Basically, I wrote some logic-based model for that. From that moment, I think I have very solid resume to apply both sides. And it's a summer of I think it's a summer of 2019. I was applying the internship for the winter actually it's the 2020 winter break. So I get some interview from tech company like Facebook and Snowflake. And also I get 2 of interview from the financial company, which one is from the I think it's Citibank. The other one is from the current company I'm working with, which named Ziliang Partners, which is asset management firm. So because I have a family, I decided I want to do a internship in Houston, which is I pick up the company I'm working with. I'm working right now. So in terms of the internship, I've done some. I can tell you like what I've went through in this interview. So first of all, I have about 3 rounds of the phone interview. Most likely, they ask me some probability questions like some playing poker and roll a dice. What's the probability to get some certain number, something like that, and flip coins. After that, I get a email that I passed the first the phone interview, and they send me some data, ask me to implement some quantitative model, which I've done that within the time and they gave me, and I also passed that, and I went to the 3rd stage, which is on-site. That's 5 round on-site interview. So basically, most likely, I went through some like lead code tests, but it's on an easy level, some sorting questions, and the tech leader of there, actually the team leader of there gave me some data, asked me what I thought and what I'm going to do. And the 3rd one is they asked me some of my thoughts on the gold price for the next year, something like that, and also the crude oil price. And the last one, the president of the company gave me a short meeting on my resume and discussed what the projects I've done in the past. So then I get the internship from the company, and they want to start. Well, they want me to start ASAP. And luckily, my advisor, Doug, he's a very nice guy, and he signed the CPT form for me, and I started a part-time job at the as my internship from October last year. Then in the winter, I turned into full-time, and keep moving until like the past summer, and I get a full-time position offer afterwards. That's luckily because from a transition from an experimentalist to a quantitative research is very tough. I still remember we get some tough time in the first year with learning because we have to do work in the lab in daytime, and we spend a lot of time in the night. I still remember in 2018, I never sleep earlier than 3 a.m. in the morning because I have to do some projects, taking courses, finish the assignment, writing report, everything. It's been a tough time, but the result is sweet, and I have to say the paycheck is good, as compared the paycheck from the academy. So that's pretty much I have, and that's my experience in how I moved from the academy to the quantitative researcher. So if I would say how I approach that, so first of all, you get to have 2 to 3 years plan to learn the basic knowledge you need to learn for to be a quant, and you got to practice to master your skill. Then you have to expand your network. Basically, all my internship, all my like interview, I got it from internal referral, and because obviously my degree is irrelevant to the field I'm going to work with, and so also you need to prepare and doing a good job in your internship, and to pursue a full-time position. And yeah, that's pretty much about that. Thank you, everybody.
Well, thanks, Carlos, for the wonderful experience sharing. And personally, I think I benefited a lot from this. I'm also a non-math major. I think it's pretty useful. I can plan my next 2 to 3 years if I want to be a quant. And our next speaker is going to be Minzhe, who is right now a quantitative researcher and jump trading. And he obtained his PhD from University of Chicago. And prior to that, he did a master's in Stanford University and a bachelor's in Tsinghua University. So let's turn the stage to Minzhe. Minzhe, take it away if you're ready.
Yeah, sorry guys, I was a bit late. You noticed that I didn't join the meeting before 10:30, but since I'm the third one, I don't delay the process, fortunately. So yeah, let me share my screen first. So yeah, the previous page is just a simple introduction of myself, of some fun facts. I think that's not worth the time for it, even that the other two speakers have talking that seriously. So I would like to start with directly into our topic. So yeah, about my experience, I list 3 questions here. Like, why do I choose to do a PhD in study statistics? And the reason I present here, I would like to mostly read them, and I put a lot out here so that you can read it if you cannot hear me clearly. So yeah, the first question, the answer to the first question is first seem to be much practical and more useful than math and physics. My original major is math and physics, and later after 2 years in Tsinghua, I switched to statistics. That's the reason why I make the switch. And secondly, I also do very well on the first couple of courses in statistics. And I admit that is one incentive. To be honest, I feel like I'm good at it. And the second is why do I want to do a PhD in statistics? After I finished my master's degree in statistics, I still think I didn't know a lot about statistics. I feel like I really need to learn more. That's the first things of statistics and programming also. So that's why I pursue a PhD degree. And the secondly is also seems like the career opportunity for PhD is wider. For example, at least you can choose to be in academia, right? And also, if you join the industry, you can do more research related jobs. Yeah, that's the second reason. And finally is why do I choose the quant as my career? Firstly, I think my skill set can be the core in this industry. So by this industry, I mean high frequency trading and also hedge fund. I mean, they involve the secret sauce in this industry is models, right? Your algorithms, and these are based on mostly statistics related techniques. And the second is it's a good balance between stability and the challenge. I think it is if you stay in the academia, I think it's more too stable, or even into the software engineer, I think is maybe too stable. But people need some challenge in order to get more excited. So yeah, I think that's a plus. And I think the quant is kind of make a good balance over here. And the final reason is that, yeah, it pays a bit better than the other statistics related career. Yeah, to be honest, this is definitely one of the reasons too. Yeah, and little summary about the process of mine. So from school to industry, I did an intern in job trading, and after 2 years, when I graduated, they provided me a return offer. And how did I get this intern? At first, I actually got referred from a friend I met in a random dinner. I had never saw this. I asked him, and he referred me, and this really worked through. I never really think that can be that easy, but it is, fortunately. And because I didn't anticipate that to happen, so I did not. I do prepare. I'll talk about that later when I tell you about how to, or at least from my side, how to prepare for the interview. But to be honest, at that time, I did not do too much the preparation compared. I do that for the later quant shops. Yeah, so after I've done tons of preparation, in fact, I failed a lot of them. Although I get to the final stage on almost all of them, but unfortunately, I also get failed on the onside, in the onside of all of them, almost all of them. Yeah. So what I want, there are some takeaways. So yeah, try more. Do try more. Too much randomness in the interview. So for example, in the final onsite, there are typically, for example, either in Jump or 2 Sigma and Citadel, from the onsite typically will be from morning 9 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m. So that during that time period, that involves 5 to 6 rounds of interview with different people. And yeah, since there are so many people, they will test you, ask a question from so many angles. I don't think I can fully guarantee that I can handle every question they ask. So there are and also the people came in, they maybe just don't like you. They may just okay, look at the background, and they just don't like you. They just give you some question that is pretty tough. Just want to discuss you. Yeah, so that can happen. So this is too much randomness. So please do try more. There are a lot of quantitative companies, and I think if you do a little bit of research, you can find a lot. They are all pretty great place to work in, and also the high-tech companies, right? Also the big banks. These are all very good opportunities, and you need to try. And after you try, after 1 2 years, if you don't like, you can switch, right? Given that you are not restricted by the non-compete. Yeah, but do try more and get an intern. Get an intern first. The intern is definitely really, really important. At least from my point of view, I get a return offer, so I definitely will lean to emphasize the importance of intern. Yeah, and treat every opportunity seriously. That's kind of the similar as the first point. And thirdly, as Carlos said, is the referral is mostly important one. If you can get a referral, your chance of getting an interview will be much higher than the other two options I listed here. But if you can't, you still interested in that you don't know anyone in the firm, you can go to campus recruit. I mean, if the company didn't go visit your school to do the campus recruiting in the career fair, you can find one that's maybe close to your school. That's just to look at the other school's one and just to go in and join the other school's one to put your resume in there. That also works. But never do, not never. I think at least I think is kind of totally useless is to online applications. I think especially for the big firms, big names, these are just garbage to them. They don't look at them. Yeah. Yeah, that's how to apply for intern or full time. And the fourth bullet point is know the things on your resume. They will ask you the key almost every corner of your resume. You should know about it because the opportunity can ask you about that, especially the project that you have done listed on there. The research, you should know the risk. I think people tend to put tons of experience on that on their resume. For example, if you just maybe a third author to one of the big papers, you may also include that in there. But I think it's fine, but definitely you should know it very well before the interview. Yeah. And the final one is during the interview, I have 4 tips. This is from my past experience. So yeah, start from simple. So every time you have a question, you don't directly jump, okay, wow, this I want to use a pretty complicated model to tackle this, fancy model to tackle this problem. No, just start from simple. Make simple assumptions and gradually develop your thinking. Let them see how you think through this problem. And the second is ask questions. So this also relates to the last 2 points. So ask questions to make sure you understand it correctly. I have one time I just maybe I just get too nervous. I just directly jump into the. I thought I know this problem very well. I just directly jump into the answer, try to answer it as quickly as possible, and it turned out that the question is not exactly as I originally imagined, which is very embarrassing, and I definitely believe that left a bad impression to the interviewer. So yeah, make sure you understand it correctly, and also make sure all the assumptions are reasonable. You don't want to proceed to do anything based on any stupid assumptions. Yeah, they will care about that, your assumptions. Yeah, the final 2 parts I will talk about the preparation for the quant interview. I listed tons of things here. I mostly recommend for you to read books. That's what I think. What I think is at least that's what I did. But if you don't have time, I think at least for these books you can pick several chapters, 2 or 3 or chapters to go through that you can grab a full picture of it. At least I think it's safer to do that instead of just randomly search on the internet and look at Wikipedia pages. So first part is from math. The overall quant question. I think most of you may heard of this. The green book is a practical guide to the quantitative finance interview. That one is pretty. It's kind of old. It's from 2008 or something. But the question there is very classic. You should. I think you should. Like Carl said, the dice problem or the card problems, a lot of them can be found, or related one can be found in this book. And from the statistic part, I recommend this book from top to bottom. That depends on your familiarity with statistics. The last one is assumed that you are mostly familiar with statistics. The first one I think is more easy to read, for the beginners. I think, for example, yeah, there are reasons why I recommend you doing this. For example, I think Ziliang, the Citadel, they tend to ask a lot of regression questions. Ziliang, if it's wrong, please correct me. But this regression related question, you should know a lot of details about the regression instead of just to know, okay, I know how to use a formula to calculate the beta hat. And if you want to get a full picture of the regression, I think reading the book is one of the good way. Yes. And secondly is the coding part. For the algorithm part, I recommend this book. This book is I read it, and my friends also who either joined the quant shops or the big tech company in the West Coast, they all recommend this book, The Introduction to the Algorithm by Corman. I think I only read this book for three chapters or something. Advanced topics I just never touched on. But the other content besides the advanced part is, I think, is very useful. It gives me a full picture of the algorithm, and I'm pretty sure that I didn't miss too much things after I read those chapters. And secondly, if you really do, you also do need to have to write some codes, and one of the one of the resources is a lead code, right? And I recommend you do at least the medium level and some early hard level maybe. That's according to my past experience. I do encounter hard level questions from quant interview. It only happened one time, I guess, and that is happened to be a early hard level. So that's why I put a question mark here. There are not too much sample. Sample size is really pretty small here, just one. Yeah, do the lead code, and during that you are using. I recommend using Python. It's everywhere. It's universal, and also you may use R, or you can use C. That's for sure. But for me, it's I chose between Python and R, and because I'm a statistician. But I do recommend the Python more. There are more package and more utilities in there, and in the future jobs, I think you are more likely to use Python right now. But be familiar with the Python, for example, but not just to write some code. For example, you write a for loop, you write a simple function to calculate something. It's you should know more than that. One way to do that, you can read the books to introduce the Python, the deep how the language the compiler, how the compiler C Python works. Because I have encountered this kind of question before. For example, I have encountered the interviewer asked me, is R object oriented or is not? I think some of you already know that, but maybe some of you didn't. Yeah, R is object oriented. If you just write some code to write a regression and plot it in your as you have done in the course, maybe you may not pay attention to that. It's actually an object oriented language. And for the Python, one question they ask is if you write a function in Python and you pass empty list and as a default parameter to one of the parameters in Python, to that function, empty list as a default parameters. What can happen? This is I think I found I happened to find the answer to this question. I didn't know this answer to the question I wanted was through the interview, but I do found the questions to the when I read a book about Pythons. Yeah, so these are definitely not just about writing some code and run it. Yeah, these are more about how Python and R works underneath. And also, you probably need to familiar with Linux, especially the basic command lines. I think if you done some computation in your school, I think this part is you should already familiar with. It's just some list, right? List and grab, right? And the matching, the global matching of the strings. Yeah, these are just basic stuffs. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't know. I hope this will be helpful to you. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Minzhe, for the experience sharing. It's pretty insightful, pretty useful. And now I think let's move on to the next stage for our today's talk. It's open Q&A session. If you have questions that you want to directly ask the speakers, please unmute yourself and open your camera. You can ask your question by yourself. And if you prefer to let us ask a question for you, you can type in your questions in the chat box. We'll read that for you. So anyone wants to ask questions, speak directly to the speakers today?
Hi. Hi.
Yeah,
Thank you. So I have a question for Minzhe. So he mentioned that so there is a good balance between stability and challenges in quant jobs. I wonder what kind of challenges he's referring to.
Yeah, challenge. I'm not saying this. You're afraid that sometime you'll get fired by the firm. Not that challenge. By challenge, I mean the market moves, and there are a lot of competitive players there, and you need to. You don't know how much additional bonus for you gain from the future. That's a challenge. You want to compete for that, right? The competition is the challenge.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And I have another question that is more general, maybe. So because I wonder what the impact of the pandemic for job searching in quant jobs.
For our firm, one I can talk more. The first thing is not related to the pandemic, but our company is recent 2 years they only hire return interns. So yeah, that's another reason I recommend you do the intern first. I don't know the other companies, they may not just do that. I'm pretty sure the Citadel and the Two Sigma they didn't do that, but our company do that. And if you do an intern, that there is a more plus to this kind of experience. So I recommend that. For the pandemic, I think for the high frequency trading firm, they generally perform relatively better compared to the before. For the pandemic, is definitely a plus to them because the market moves a lot. So yeah, they hire more. For example, the Two Sigma and the Citadel, yeah, they do hire more. I think Ziliang, could you correct me if I'm wrong? I don't know. I think Citadel and the Two Sigma are doing pretty well, and they hire more, right?
All right.
Yes, Citadel is actually hiring more recently, and it does perform better than previous years because of the volatility in market.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I can say like yeah, most of quant-driven firms are doing well during this period actually. But since like some of the traditional asset management not performing well, especially long-only strategies because contracts are signed with clients. Most of the traditional firms they only can do long only. That's a problem for them. They only can barely hedge, so that's a problem. But for our company, we are doing okay because we are we will figure out that the pandemic impact are gonna hit the energy very bad. So we have a very good hedge on that. So we don't lose a lot. But some of the other competitors in the same industry, they have a shit shoe. They are doing really bad. But overall, the finance job is still like is a good place to apply because most of firms are still hiring, I believe.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have one person from the audience raised hand. I believe it's Mi Yan. If you can unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, gentlemen. So my question is that will you use your quant models in your individual investment?
I would say yes. I have a good model for me and my friends, which because our firm does like low frequency trading and requires a 30 days minimum holding period if you buy or sell a stock. But for I do have like model right for my friend, which generates very good return, let's say 10% return per month. Those type of trading quantitative model, and it's being realized for 6 months. And yes, I do. I don't know others.
Yeah, I think it's for cars that they are too low frequency. They definitely their model will be can work for the individual investor, but because we are doing high frequency, so I can't click trading like that, right? So as high frequency as even for seconds as a times gap. So yeah, I don't do that. Sorry.
Yeah, so in my company, it's pretty similar to Minzhe's situation because we mostly do high frequency. So the strategy is not directly applicable in your personal trading. Especially you are pretty restricted in terms of investing. For example, if you buy some stocks, you are not supposed to sell it like within 1 month. So you cannot do anything in the short term, anything high frequent.
I see. So Carlos, you mentioned that your company is working on the low frequency kind of a quant. So are there any kind of quant models or quant services that for the lay people or for the individual investors?
I would say my model is mostly for the institutional level. We are mostly like moving around like 2 billion, 3 billion in money. So we're not like trying to move in very fast paced. Yeah, but that's basically the model need to consider the market impact a lot because, for instance, some of the tickers they have very thin liquidity. If we put like let's say 20 million buy orders through that, the price just goes up quickly, and that's pretty much the institutional level issues. But yeah, obviously the model is most like a general, can apply for like a small individuals, which doesn't consider the market impact or liquidity issues for individuals. Yeah, most models should be general, especially low frequency, I would say.
Okay. So I have another following up question. So what is happening after you develop a model? So how does your company decide whether your model is a good one or not? So what is the process?
Basically, first, you have to back test. Then if the back test is solid, then we are going to run a forward test without any money. Let's say a 1 month or 2 months period. We're gonna run a 2 month test period. Then if the results still like match out at least 90% or 80% of the back test, well, then the firm will flow like say $1 million wise to like seed the strategy, and let time tell if the model actually works well or not. Because when you start trading with real money, you have to consider the transaction cost, the market impact. The performance will be slightly lower than the forward test, but most likely you will still be able to catch like above 85 or 90% of the performance from the forward test. Then you consider we have a solid model. Then we will spend like a year or two to build up a tracking record and monitorize it finally.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have more questions from the audience? Oh, okay. Hong Xiao, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, so I have 2 questions. So the first one, I have 2 questions for the speakers. So the first one is that you mentioned that the coding skill is much more important than the than your financial background. So let me introduce myself. I am a first-year PhD student in economics. So if I am going to develop myself into this track, so I just want to confirm if it is best for me to put more of my time into my programming skills rather than to study the financial knowledge. So this is my first question. And
I think if you are primarily looking for quant jobs, I'll definitely recommend you to pay more attention or most of the attention on the coding and maths or statistics related stuff. But there are also opportunities for I think there are also a lot of opportunities for the economics background specialists. For example, again, Citadel, but Citadel not Citadel Securities, but Citadel hedge fund, right? They have recruited a lot of economics background to the fundamental based trading. I think, Ziliang, is that true? I think it is, right?
I think that's true for Citadel.
Yeah, so yeah, they definitely have a market over here. So it depends on your interest also. So, yeah.
okay, yeah, thank you. And my second question is somewhat detailed. So I would like to ask, is the machine learning skills getting more popular in the quantitative trading strategies? And does the traditional CTA strategies start to fail in this market? Yes, so that's it. Thank you.
So my opinion is traditional models still works pretty well, because in finance, very often the data is very noisy, and some fancier models, it's very easy to overfit. So sometimes people prefer to use more classical models over like neural networks or fancy model like that.
Yeah, I think definitely you need you still need the intuition from the financial knowledge to start your model as a prior knowledge. And also, for example, in the more complicated financial derivatives like option, I think they are still more likely to use the traditional pricing model, for example, the Black-Scholes stuff, right? That's what I heard about. I don't do option trading, but I think for these more complicated derivatives, they use the financial knowledge, financial models more.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we see a question in the chat box, and so after this, we will have 1 or 2 questions since we already is already 1 hour and a half. So I will read a question for Valentina. So this question is for Ziliang. We know that the CEO Peng Zhaofei company is one of the few Chinese CEOs in the US-based companies. how does that form the dynamics on your company?
Well, my feeling is that it doesn't really make a huge difference. So the dynamics, it's just like a normal company. It doesn't really change because the CEO is Chinese or not. Yeah.
But I do heard that since Peng is coming from Berkeley statistics department, right? And I think students from Berkeley statistics, they got a referral from Bing Yu, the advisor of Peng Zhao when he was doing PhD. That will help really a lot. That's what I heard about. Yeah, from same school, same department, that definitely makes a difference. But otherwise, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's true in general. Like
yes.
The CEO usually prefer to recruit somebody from the same school or from the same lab.
Yeah,
it's not only true for particular CEO.
Yeah. That's definitely, yeah.
All right, so since Mi Yan already asked the questions before, so I think if you want to ask this question, you can follow up with the speakers directly afterwards. And I think I personally will ask the last question, consider a time limit. So I heard a lot of the skills that you do as quant were similar to people working in computer science. So so for example, if a person wants to consider transfer to computer science, how do you evaluate the possibility of considering quant as well in the meanwhile? Is there something in common or in other sense that's pretty different? How do you evaluate this? Yeah, that would be my question. Oh, I asked a hard question, right?
I don't. Because I'm not from computer science background. I didn't work in that industry, but I do see a lot of people coming from the West Coast high tech companies. Even the high level leaders, team leaders, they are coming from. They were coming from the high level in the high tech companies in the West Coast. Well, in terms of what skills are different, I think there are, as you have mentioned, there's tons of overlap, especially for the coding and machine learning knowledges. But for the difference, I would say that depends on what's your original role. If you are a data scientist in a high-tech company, then you may do more testing. Most of the data scientists or data analytics, they do more testing things instead of prediction. But the quant companies, they do care or only care about the prediction instead of testing. So that's a big difference. And if you are a software engineer in the West Coast, big companies, I think you may need more stats or probability or math related knowledge. I would say, yeah.
For computer science, we do have a computer science engineer for working on as a developer, especially to maintain our computation in the internal cloud and build up the computational environment. That's what we need from as a quant developer from computer science.
Ziliang, do you have something you want to add on?
Yeah, so in my company, there are some developers who support the infrastructure. But it's different from quant, of course. So if you transfer from a programming job to a quant, I guess the major difference is that you need to learn some statistics and math knowledge or some knowledge in finance to be competent for the job.
Okay, I see. So yes, we already get 1 hour and a half. I think let's thank the speakers, the three wonderful speakers again for their experience sharing. Really appreciate this opportunity. And regarding our the WBA talk, this is the 5th episode of our season 1. We will have 2 more talks lined up for every 2 weeks. That will be centered around startups. And if you have any suggestions for season 2, any of the topics you want to listen to, just feel free to shoot us email, and we'll be try to satisfy your need. And once again, let's thank all the speakers and thanks for the audience for the time. And hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thanks everybody.